Alright, what's good YouTube? Gentleman Thomas here, and I'm here with the Kanto Division, NPBA, PRs, and I'm of course joined by Naeem.
Hello, my name's Naeem. I'm a coach for the Holland Division, and I'm also admin for the NPBA, and we're doing the PRs for the Kanto Division. There's been a bit of delay with this one because some stuff came up, but we're here now, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I saw that you, and I think it was Bullet Puncher, had a little bit of an issue, or Bullet Puncher had to drop off, so I offered to help Naeem real quick, so...
Yeah.
If I'm not completely up to date with the teams fully, it's because I've had like less than a day to quickly figure out what I think.
Yeah, it's different, but look, we're here now, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. But should we just hop into the first team then?
Yeah, let's go.
So... as you can see here, the first team is going to be Kinky Katanas, which has gotten an 11th place. So the order we're going to go by are the draft order, and then the placements are just, as you can see, there. But Naeem, why don't you start a little bit off about why this team is placed where it is?
So... oh, Jesus. Okay. So I'm looking at the team here right now, and one thing I definitely like about is the Dragon, Steel, and Fairy core. But I think for me, the way I rank the teams are pivot, their hazard game, how much they can remove and set hazards. I think that's quite important, and also their cores. And I want to say before I get into this team, all the teams in this division are really good.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
A lot of these teams in a different division will probably get top 6. So this team being 11th, I felt was a bit harsh, but it's just maybe compared to the other team. This team has a great Dragon, Fairy, Steel core. The Fire, Water, Grass core is, I think the Grass and the Water type are good, but I think Talonflame as a Fire type's a bit because of it's a bit frail. It's great offensively, but it can be taken out quite easily.
Even then, offensively, if it's mostly good after it gets like a +2 to sword stance.
Yeah,
if it's just base, it doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah, and then it's got pretty good removal, I'd say, between the Sylvali, the Florgus, the Blastoise for rapid spinning, and Talonflame if you want to be that guy, if you want to run heavy duty boots now. And
if you even more that guy, Archeops, I believe also.
Archeops is there as well, but yeah. And I think the team's got a lot of offensive threats.
Definitely.
Between the Hydreigon, the Mega Gallade, the Talonflame. Toxtricity can be decent.
That's one of those mons you have to watch out for. If you don't prep for it, it's going to destroy you.
Obviously, the ground type weakness is there for Toxtricity, but the team has enough Pokemon to deal with it. Between again the Hydreigon, Ferrothorn can take a ground type move when needed. Yeah. Talonflame off the ground. But I also just think that hazard game is kind of carried by Ferrothorn, because it hasn't really got any great hazard setters apart from Ferrothorn, but Ferrothorn does that job so well that it's not too much of an issue.
You can always bring like either spikes or stuff rocks on Ferrothorn.
Exactly.
In the matchups where you run Runereaches, you can have spikes on Ferrothorn and rocks on Runereaches. So.
Yeah, so I don't think only having 2 hazard setters is a problem when you have one that's as good as Ferrothorn is at its job.
And we do realize that Archeops and Glalie also gets hazards, but you're not running rocks on Archeops, let's be honest, and Glalie is only coming for like 1 or 2 games max.
Yeah, exactly. Those are things like you have more than. I'm just going to look at the viable
exactly
rock setters, and you can run defog Archeops as well, but stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the team's also fairly bulky. Even their offensive threats, like Gallade, has a pretty good special defense.
One thing I would say that's maybe on the little bit more negative side is the team is very reliant on Florges Wish.
Yeah.
Because it's like Ferrothorn doesn't have truly reliable recovery. It has Lead Seed, which is pretty good. Blastoise doesn't have anything. Runereaches doesn't have anything. Sylvali, if it's a defensive, doesn't have anything.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be relying on Florges to heal all the Pokemon up, and with Heal Bell as well, so if your team stacks well against the Florges, it makes the matchup a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, 11th place is honestly nothing bad. Yeah, I just think there's too many strong teams in this division.
Definitely. So overall, it's a solid team, but it just have a little bit of lacks here and there. And that's why it doesn't quite itch in the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. I can see his team doing well. Again, PRs don't mean anything about how well teams are going to do.
No. It's just based on the mons we can see on our screen right now. So.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
But next up, we have the Brisbane Balloons, which unfortunately has ended up with the 16th spot. That's very interesting since they do have an Urshifu single strike, which arguably is one of the best mons in the format.
In my opinion, the Urshifu isn't enough to, bring this team out of 16th.
I agree, because I had an Urshifu once myself, and it did not go well. So.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong, it's a terrifying Pokemon.
Yeah.
But it is a Pokemon with counterplay.
Definitely.
So, for example, the team before had a Florgus, which can help negate that Urshifu, even though I think Urshifu gets poison jab or something like that, or Iron Head.
Yeah, it does.
But even then, there's a lot of random fast psychic types with a dazzling gleam. So I think it's a great Pokemon, but again, like every Pokemon, there's a counterplay to it. Yeah. But then I think the team does have a Fairy Dragon Steel Core, but it's not a great one considering Klefki takes up two of those spots, and Klefki isn't a great Pokemon in my opinion.
Yeah, I always feel like if you pick up Klefki, it's advised to have another fairy type, because Klefki can fill the steel role fairly decent, but the fairy role is actually kind of difficult.
Because it doesn't get Wish, it doesn't, get Heal Bell. It'll set up hazards, Thunder Wave is decent, but it's fairly frail as well. The stats aren't great. It's just an annoying Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then Appleton also isn't a phenomenal dragon. Like, it's actually quite good for 6 points. I used it last season.
I agree.
But I feel like for dragons, you kind of want one of those big strong boys, I guess.
Yeah, like you either want a really nice bulky one like Druddigon.
There is also a Flygon, which I also spoiled. But the problem is both those dragons are also 4 times weak to ice.
Well, Appleton has thick fat, so...
Yeah, but it's still taking a lot from an ice
it definitely is.
And there's also Mega Aerodactyl as well, so this team isn't gonna enjoy
Araquanid is coming every week, and it has to resist an ice move, pretty much.
Yeah, I do like the Araquanid pick because the webs help some of these slow Pokemon it has, like the Circuitry, the Blaziken, the Urshifu.
It definitely.
So I think this team's really going to need Araquanid every week, which is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's a very straightforward Pokemon.
And that also plays a little bit into the team is already a little bit rock weak. Like, I mean, offensive rock types. Like a Terrakion, a Lycanroc, stuff like that. Because you resist a Flygon and Klefki, which, as you mentioned, aren't the bulkiest.
Yeah, neither of them are very bulky, and the rest of them just don't. Appleton can take a rock move, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I also think the Fire Water Grass core is a bit better. I think Blaziken's a decent pick on this team because it has webs, but it's lacking, in my opinion, a bit of pivot to move these Pokemon around properly. Because it's kind of Gengar doesn't get any pivot, Mega Aerodactyl doesn't get any pivot.
Yeah.
Flygon, it's just Flygon, Circuitry, and Urshifu. Yeah, but if you want to bring either the Blaziken, the Circuitry, or the Urshifu in, and those 3 are your pivots, it's a bit of a problem. Because those are the ones you want to get in with a pivot, I think, personally.
I can agree to it.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of typings that just got duly brought in.
Yeah, like, for instance, you have Indeedee Female, like a decent normal psychic support mon, and then you have Galarian Mr. Mime, and I get the ice typing is, like, nice, but I don't know if Mr. Mime and Galar is worth taking when there are probably other stuff you could have gotten.
You got double dragons, which again are both weak to ice.
Double fighting as well.
That's what I mean. I think the team was just... It's not a bad team at all, but compared to like the rest of the very good teams there are, I think this is probably the weakest one.
Like this team is definitely
get results.
This team is definitely gonna win a game or two just because of the offensive pressure of the first 3 months, pretty much.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's probably like Circuitry. If you don't prepare for it, it will cause an issue. But
definitely. Like
I think. Wait, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Hypnosis, Blunder Policy, Circuitry is actually a thing I've seen before, and it is devastating.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to bring up is I think Indeedee does get Trick Room, which could be helpful. Don't quote me on that. I can check that one. But if it does get Trick Room, it makes sense for it to. But if it does, that could be quite useful for the team. So I think this team's just going to need a bit of work. Okay, it doesn't get Trick Room, so never mind. But if it did, it would have been nice. But I think the team is definitely got some potential to win games, but I just don't think it's out there with the rest of the teams.
Yeah, but with the quick Trick Room note, Galarian Mr. Mime actually does get Trick Room.
Oh, nice. But again, how many times is the Galarian Mr. Mime?
How many times is it going to come?
It could come as a suicide lead just to die to set up the Trick Room and then bring in the Circuitry or something. Yeah. That's about it. But anyway.
Moving on from this, we have Den Haag Darumaka. 12th place with a Mega Scissor, Dragonite, and Bear Scooter. See, the Bear Scooter is the one thing that's like very interesting to me. Because I get it's a rain, like I guess this is a rain team, but Bear Scooter is just a little underwhelming still, I feel like.
I think it's a weird Pokemon.
Yeah.
Alright, so I put it 12 because... So I hate rain teams, personally.
Yeah, that's my least favorite weather by far.
I find it really boring and a bit of a cop-out. If you just can't think of a good team to draft, you just draft
I also
rain.
think the only reason why Hail is slightly worse is just because it doesn't have a good abuser yet.
But even then, I think my problem with rain team is it's just very uncreative, I think. But I actually disagree. I think this team's a bit more creative with it. Because usually you see, Mega Swampert, Ferrothorn, a Scizor, Tornadus is sometimes there with Pelipper.
Yeah.
You see these Pokemon, but this team built it a bit differently, and I think the Mega Scizor is actually a very good pick in the rain because it helps that fire type weakness.
Definitely.
And Mega Scizor in the rain is no joke. Dragonite, I think, is definitely a good dragon, but I don't know if it...
I mean, I guess it does allow you to run Hurricane Dragonite a little bit more if you really want to.
Yeah, I can see. I think this team was built heavily around the rain.
Yeah.
But it's a bit. I feel like it's just a bit weirdly put together. The Shelmet for 1 point is a great pick.
Yeah, because that's spikes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but I think the team's got a lot of great speed on it with the Weavile, the Swift Swim Barraskewda, and the Swift Swim Ludicolo. I think the main thing I like about our team is a lot of the Pokemon do benefit from the rain. Even Heliolisk benefits, Dragonite to an extent. And
I think Roserade might even get Weather Ball, actually.
I think it does.
Which give you a water... Yeah, it does. And it gives you a water move against like fire types and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think this team's definitely going to be an annoying one to try and prepare for.
Yeah. And then if you start over prepping for like the weather specific, then you're gonna get hit by like a Choice Specs God War or something like that.
And that's the thing, they do have mons like Dragonite, God War, Mega Scizor can all be used without the rain.
Exactly.
I think my main issue with the team is its bulk is kind of weird. It has bulk in the Scizor, the Gligar. Roserade's kind of got some bulk to it, but it's not got anything that's just gonna sit there and take hits.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he's on the back burner, he's not gonna have a mon that can go in and take a hit and then work from there.
Defensive Scizor is a very good set. I do like it a lot. I used it week 2 this season, but it's not. When you have a Scizor, you also want to be able to just use that Swords Dance Bullet Punch and tear through teams.
Exactly.
So it's a weird team, and I think even I know it's a rain team, but I think there are fire types which could have maybe benefited this team. I know Incineroar is a popular one that people use in the rain.
Which one?
Incineroar. I see Incineroar a lot on rain teams.
Yeah, that's because Incineroar is just as good because of its dark and like the Intimidate and whatnot.
So I think I know it's not a massive issue because it's in the rain, but fire could have been helpful here. I think that Ludicolo was a bit of a weird pick because I know it gets Swift Swim, but you have a grass type, you have 2 water types, and the Swift Swim and Ludicolo isn't good enough, in my opinion, to carry a game. So I don't know.
I mean, it does give you both a physical and special Swift Swim abuser.
That's true.
So
But-
it does make it that the opponent has to think about that a little bit when prepping.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an annoying team to prepare for. In terms of hazards, I think Gligar's... There's Gligar, Shelmet, Roserade for toxic spikes.
No, also regular spikes.
Oh, I guess regular... Oh.
Yeah, I guess regular spikes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It had one... And I don't know about Gligar's the main rock user.
Yeah, because the issue with Gligar, if it's your main rock user, you also want Roost on it for longevity. And then you probably also is your best defog at the same time.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Because if you run defog on Scissor, you're just taking away from what it can do.
Yeah. So, I think... Yeah, team definitely... I think it could benefit from a transaction or two just to give it maybe another rock or another remover.
Like,
to
honestly,
get rid of that pressure on Gligar.
picking up Kabutops instead of one of the other Swift Swimper users might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I can see it over Preludico though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that comes up to what you like.
Yeah.
You like in your
Exactly.
abuser. But
So
like,
anyway.
that's spin, that's rocks, so that might help.
Yeah.
But next up, we have Warwick Weavile, which is placed first with a pretty scary team. Let's not gonna lie.
So I think this team's amazing, personally. So this team pretty much has everything. So they have 2 incredible cores.
Yeah.
And they pretty much use their first 5 picks to get the core.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty smart play. Because it means all their strongest Pokemon are part of the core.
It even kind of looks like you knew you were gonna pick up Mega Venusaur, so you made sure your steel was above the ground. So there's like really it looks like there's got some really good thought into what you did with your picks.
And I think this is one of the few teams where every Pokemon could honestly have a purpose at some point. Whereas I'm seeing a lot of teams, picking up maybe like a 1-pointer because they want 10 Pokemon instead. But this team, they picked up a very good 1-pointer in Murkrow.
Yeah, definitely. Like Murkrow can do so much because of the Prankster, and it gets a lot of really cool moves as well.
I guess it's a Defogger, and Eviolite Defogger is pretty nice. Haunter's not terrible either. But, and then even like, they drafted a Hail user with a Slush Rush user.
Yeah.
Lots of removal with Tapu Fini, Skarmory, Hitmontop, Murkrow, as we mentioned. There's, again, they have they only have, I think, they have 2 very good rock setters, a spike setter, and a lot of offensive threats.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of bulky offense rather than like except for like Alakazam maybe. The rest is kind of bulky. What?
Yeah, Alakazam and Ninetales are the 2 main fast.
Even then, like Ninetales isn't that great offensively because if it just got like 1 move to hit a Steel type, it would be better.
Yeah, it used to benefit more from Hidden Power Fire.
Yeah, but we don't have Hidden Power Fire.
Yeah, that's the problem. But again, I think the speed's going to be a bit less of an issue if you can get Slush Rush up to Zolt in. And and there's a lot of actually no, that's the other. There's not a whole lot of pivot going on.
Yeah, that's Incineroar, and I think Murkrow might get U-turn as well.
Nah, I don't think it does.
So it's only Incineroar.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue in the team. There's only 1 pivot.
Like it's gonna have some prediction game going on here.
But I think due to the team being bulky enough, I think you can just switch a lot of stuff in freely, which could honestly. And it does also get Aurora Veil with the Ninetales.
Yeah.
So I think this team's very strong. I think the main strength is just the cores it has are going to be very difficult to break down.
Yeah, I think this team is really good. It's gonna struggle with a really good freeze-dry abuser, I think, a little bit. Maybe. To like Kyurem, for instance. Kyurem is gonna do a lot to this team.
I think for something like a Kyurem, the only thing they have is a Skarmory.
And even then, Skarmory's Spidef isn't even that great.
True. So it's definitely gonna struggle. But in the end, every team's gonna be weak to 1 mon.
Every team has like 1 mon they have to look out for. So.
And considering we can only think of like 2 or 3 Pokemon that can actually do well against this team.
So that's an accomplishment. Like.
Yeah.
But next up, we have the Miami Delphox, which are placed third.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually looked, but I'm gonna guess they had first pick.
No, this is an order of picks. They got 5th pick.
Oh wait, that's right. That's right. We did start out with that's true. I kind of actually forgot that we started out with.
Yeah, so they somehow got Dragapult in 5th.
Yeah, in 5th. Wow.
And they built a very good team around the Dragapult. I think one main thing about this team is the Ice type. An Ice type is going to do a decent amount to them because between the Dragapult, the Crocodile, the Pinsir, the Rotom Fan, there's a lot of Ice weaknesses, but
you only have one really resist, if we're being honest here.
Yeah, and a good Ice type isn't like something you run across every game.
No.
So you can manage that. What's your opinion?
I think it's a really good team. It has a lot of components that I really like. It has a bunch of pivots, like we're talking Dragapult, Corviknight, Infernape, Milotic, Rotom, Mesprit, all are pivots, which I love that. I love having a good pivot game, so you can kind of just go around and like kind of scout out a little bit about what your opponent is doing while also doing a little bit of chip here and there. It has a little bit of a speed gap, I would say, from Dragapult down to Infernape, I think, the next fast.
Yeah.
No, Sneasel. It's Sneasel. But still, there's like a pretty big gap where a decent amount of mons can take advantage of that.
Yeah, but I think you can definitely work around it. And it's got a lot of bulk with the Corviknight, the Weezing, the Mesprit, the Milotic. Yeah. And again, I think that Dragapult's going to be something every team would be worried about because of the team they built around it.
Yeah.
I
guess the biggest, not the biggest, but one thing I can kind of see this team maybe struggle with, it doesn't have a really good breaker. Like most of the mons require some sort of setup, unless you get Mega Pinsir in, but that can be difficult in of itself, I think.
But yeah, about the wall breaker point.
Yeah, because like a lot of them are like cleaners or want to have some sort of setup to really do a whole lot of damage. And at least that's how I see it.
Well, I originally had the team at 2nd, but that's something that did make me consider it going down. So I think this team's going to be having to get a lot of chip damage, and then getting in the Mega Pinsir and just Swords Dancing. That's honestly how I see a lot of the games going.
I mean, Mega Pinsir can be like one of those really good ones because it does have access to quick attack with the aerial aid ability, so it becomes flying. And
Swords Dancing it is scary. And Moxie as well, you can quick attack something that's on like 3%, get a Moxie boost, then Mega Evolve straight after. But
so definitely a scary team, has a few holes, but it's gonna be difficult for the opponent to take advantage of it.
One thing I want to mention as well is I think the team could do with maybe one more remover, because they do have a Mega Pinsir, and I think it's going to be quite important. So I think only having 2 removers.
They have 3.
Which ones?
Corviknight, Galarian, Weezing, and Rotom.
Oh yeah, Weezing.
Weezing has Default. It gets Default.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, then no, ignore that point. But,
I mean, I can still agree because I think
there's 3 you can get by, especially Corviknight being one of them.
Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, it's like I don't think Rotom Fan is coming that often. Maybe like 4 games.
It's terrible, to be honest. Yeah. I had regular Rotom last season. It came a lot more than I expected it to. So, because electric type is always good. So if you have an electric type, you want to bring it very often. But anyway.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Arbor Amphos, which is placed last, 100%.
Yeah, they deserve last, but
ignore the 6th place.
Someone put 6th. I don't know who it was, but realistically, this team is very good.
They have Big Daddy Kieran Black.
So I actually don't like Kieran Black.
I mean, I've never used it, so I can't really say.
So I think it's a bit awkward to use, especially now there's no Z crystals, because you can't get that massive nuclear fusion freeze thing.
Freeze shock.
Yeah, whatever it was. but I think nevertheless it's still going to be scary because the team has a lot of pivot between the Gliscor, the Slowking, the Manectric, the Jirachi, the Persian. I think Masquerain gets U-turn, but
yeah.
So it does get webs. It gets webs with Masquerain. So again, this is a team where every Pokemon could do something.
Definitely, because like even Roselia is not a bad 2-point mon at all.
Yeah, it's pretty good for 2 points. It's not the greatest Pokemon, but for 2 points, it's probably one of the best things you're going to get in there.
Like spikes, toxic spikes, decently Spadef bulk. So.
Yeah, but this team just has so many heavy hitters. It has a Kartana and a Kirin Black, which are both physical monsters.
Yeah.
However, I think the special attack is kind of not as strong.
I mean, that is kind of difficult to get as strong special attack.
True. I mean, Manectric's good, but if you have a ground type, you can honestly deal with it.
Yeah, it losing hit power was definitely not good.
I used to love it when it had hidden power, personally. But now, I mean, Slowking's can get set up future sights. I think Gliscor's a phenomenal bulky Pokemon. It can cause so many issues if your team can't take it out.
And Gliscor and Slowking also really work really well together.
Because they both can pivot into each other as well. So this team's going to be really annoying, I can honestly see. It's got Heal Bell with Togekiss. And Roselia gets Aromatherapy as well. Persian's a pretty good 6-point.
Yeah, because it's like deceptively bulky. You send it in and then your parting shot out, lower the attack. And then
you get fake out, parting shot, then leave. That's pretty much what it does. But it's enough to affect the match. If you fake out something that can't recover.
And I'm personally also a big fan of Center Scorch. I really like it, actually.
I've never used it, so...
it's one of the best shaming counters. I know that much. Because it gets white smoke, so you can't load a Spadef.
Oh. Well, wow. Yeah, I mean... Volcarona's broken, so... I guess it's similar. I do know it's a decent setup sweep, and it gets Fire Lash, which is a very good move.
Exactly, yeah. So overall, this is just like it's a very good, solid team. Not a whole lot of weaknesses.
Exactly.
Can kind of like break through, but also have some good speed to clean up games in the end and whatnot.
Yeah.
But next up, we have the Midnight Ages with 15 plays and a Mega Medicam. I'm very intrigued to hear a little bit about this team.
Alright. So, don't get me wrong. Mega Medicam is... I think it's a bit of a weird first pick, considering how early they were in the draft. I think they got like first 8 or 9, which, I mean, middle is a terrible place, but you can get a decent Pokemon in that spot. But I think
there's like a decent chance Mega Medicam would have come back.
I mean, there was a lot of 18, like Landorus Incarnate hasn't picked up, Tornado Starian's still around, you know.
Tapu Koko.
Yeah, Mega Morwa, all those Pokemon. But Mega Medicam does have an insane attack stat. It's a bit predictable, but it's still scary nonetheless. And I think the main thing for me with this team was it kind of just feels like it doesn't work together, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's a lot. I see it. It's a lot of like standalone strong mons, but they don't really.
Exactly.
They can't pivot into each other really, and they hit a little bit of the same types. So.
And it's not. It's a bit more of a weakness in my opinion of this team than let's say the Warwick Weavils, because the Pokemon of this team aren't as like bulky to just bring in on whenever you feel like it, and a lot of them don't have recovery. Tapu Lele, I think, wasn't the best pick because they have a Psychic type, they have a Fairy type as well with Ribombee, and I know Ribombee isn't a phenomenal Fairy type, but I think you could have picked up something a bit better than it. That could have really benefited the team here.
Like, They could have potentially split up the steel dark typing because
Mm.
I'm not a big fan of Bishop at all. Like
I'm not a huge fan.
Like it's
It's okay.
it's okay, but it doesn't really fulfill the role of steel type. I feel like.
Yeah, and even the other dark type Lipard isn't. One of my friends drafted it in the NPBA, and they didn't bring it once. So it's not a bad Pokemon, but it's really not going to be a dark type you bring all too much.
Yeah.
So I think this team could just be like a bit weak to Psychic Span, to be honest.
But one thing this team definitely has going for itself is you have to prepare like walls to not die.
Yeah, no, you either have to try and hyper fence it back because it's not as bulky, or you have to just be sitting there toxicking things and recovering because the hitters it has are insane. Mega Medican, Chandelure, Tapu Lele, Mamoswine, Swords Dance Bishop.
Yeah.
Tauros is quite good as well.
And then it can all be like backed up by Sticky Webs Ribombi, so...
Sticky Webs are going to help it out on stuff, but I think the team's a bit slow, apart from the Ribombi.
Yeah.
So Ribombi's honestly going to be coming a lot more than expected, I think, just to get the webs up or Quiver Dance Sweep. Because the team's really... The speed as well isn't very good, in my opinion. Again, it's not a bad team by any chance. One thing I do want to mention as well is there isn't a dragon type, I don't think.
I'm gonna say this dragons are overrated, and it has nothing to do with my team also missing a dragon type, okay?
Yeah, but no, I think this team could, for example, instead of picking up Tapu Lele, they could have picked up a strong dragon type.
They could have done yeah, because like for 16 points you can get like a really good dragon.
Yeah, there's Latios in 16 points.
I'm pretty sure like Hydreigon is also lower than 16.
Yeah, I think Hydreigon got picked up round 1.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
no. I'm actually pretty sure because the first pick was Zygarde. So I'm pretty sure it was picked up in Grace actually.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Then yeah. But yeah, there's Pokemon like that. You know, there's just a lot of dragons I think could have benefited this team
Definitely.
compared to other teams who have, you know, they might not have a dragon type, but all the other Pokemon they've drafted either benefit them or there's no point. In my opinion, there's no point picking up a dragon type that's less than like 12 points.
I beg it to differ a little bit because I do really like Druddigon. I think Druddigon is like
Druddigon's good, but what I'm saying is like, yeah, I mean there's still some good dragons, but yeah. Anyway, the point is, I think a dragon could have definitely helped over Tapu Lele. I think there's a good amount. There's some good hazard setting with the Mamoswine, the Deoxys, the Ribombi with webs, and I think the Lipard could maybe cause some issues, but I don't think it's a good enough Pokemon to do that. But again, it's not a horrendous team. It's just missing a lot of things, and I think they just need to patch that up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say get like one more pivot mon in would also be really good. Like right now you have Rotom and I guess Ribombi if you really want to be there. And then I think Lipard also gets your turn, but
yeah,
as you mentioned, it's not gonna come that often. So
yeah.
But picking up from here, the next team is gonna be the ferocious Theraphones with what looks like a round 1 Mimikyu, but I do think this is because of Grace.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's because of Grace, but I don't think the Mimikyu is their main centerpiece.
No.
So I'm curious to see what they had before.
I think there's like a big goofy fish kind of stealing the spotlight a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big fish, there's a Sandrush Excadrill.
Yeah.
Those are the main two things, and they both get Sandrush, and they're both problems.
Yeah, like the physical offensive pressure this team can put out is actually kind of insane.
Yeah, I think the special side is a bit lacking. There's Rotom Overheat can do some damage, and Galarian Slowbro can kind of do work there, but it also can be ran physically, so...
And then you do have Choice Specs Exploud, but it gets revenged fairly easily because of how slow it is. How slow it is,
and once you know it's Choice Scarf, you just kind of...
Well, Choice Specs is more scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be Choice, and let's say just Choice into a Boom Burst, you just send a Ghost type out, and then you get a free punish or whatever. It's obviously going to swap out.
Doesn't Exploud get Scrappy?
Oh wait, you're right.
I suppose it doesn't get Scrappy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. But like, let's say, I don't know, Fire Blast or something as well to just
I get it. Like, if you're forced, or not forced, but if you're gonna run choice, you're also kind of getting in the situation that your opponent could get something in that could potentially take advantage of it.
Now, there's also Buzzwole, but again, I think the teams...
Sorry.
For me, it's like the physical attack is honestly one of the best in the league. Between the Mega Tyranitar, the Excadrill, the Dracovish, and the Buzzwole. There's kind of lacking in a lot of other areas. I think Chansey is actually going to be quite helpful to heal up some of the other threats like the Dracovish and the Tyranitar.
Yeah, I can actually speak from experience. I have a Blissey right now, but Blissey Buzzwole is also a really good combo together. Like, Buzzwole can take pretty much any fighting type on if it wants to.
Yeah.
Chansey takes the most special hits that Buzzwole doesn't want to deal with.
I can just see his team being a very big wild card.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's going to be one, if you don't prepare hard enough for the team, it will probably blow through you. It's got a lot of good rock setters. Minior, Tyranitar. One of those. I mean, Mega Tyranitar, you don't really want to run rocks as much as regular Tyranitar. Because you can't abuse the leftovers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's just typically the thing people say about Mega Tyranitar over regular. That Mega Tyranitar is actually not as good of a sand setter as regular.
Because you can't run the rock or the bulk on it. But it's still a decent rock, so I think Grottle gets rocks as well.
I would imagine it does.
But yeah. So I think this team again.
Yeah.
It's gonna just...
It's gonna scare
you. Yeah. I wouldn't want to fight it because, again, there's a Mimikyu, a Dracovish, a Tyranitar, an Excadrill, an Exploud, a Buzzwole.
Yeah.
It's very hyper-offensive. I can see just a team either walling it or just trying to out-hyper-offensive it.
Yeah, because like outside of sand, it's actually very slow.
Yeah, that's one point I had right now. Like, if you can't get the sand up properly, like let's say the Tyranitar just dies immediately for some reason, then I mean it's not going to die immediately. But if something happens to Tyranitar because it can't heal itself and you kind of have to wish it in, and it has a lot of weaknesses, then the team isn't going to be moving anywhere.
Next up, we have the Gainesville God War. 5th place with the traditional Rillaboom Heatran combo. Well, it used to be Bulletran, but let's be honest, Rillaboom is better anyway.
Yeah. I feel like if you get that call, it does immediately put you up because it's very good.
It's so good. And then they top it off with like an amazing water type as well. Like,
this is what I mean about the teams being very good. This team would be number 1 in most other divisions, I think.
It could definitely be.
I could probably contest it for number 1, but it's just the other teams that are all so scary. I think what this team's missing is a major wall breaker.
I mean, okay, I will give a little bit of props to them picking up Surf Edged, because did you know Surf Edged is the only non-grass type to get Grassy Glide?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's quite... that just adds more to the synergy then.
Yeah, because I had Rillaboom Surf Edged in a league at some point, and I picked Surf Edged because it got Grassy Glide.
Wow. That's quite good. Yeah, but I still think you kind of... the first 4 picks are, where you get your best Pokemon. Traditionally. And none of them are just a standout hitter. I mean, Banded Rillaboom is a bit of a threat.
Yeah, but it does get walled by some because it doesn't get. I don't believe it gets any rock moves, so like flying types can wall it a little bit.
It's like on steel types because Fire Punch isn't. A lot of steel types are so physically defensive that Fire Punch isn't gonna.
It doesn't get Fire Punch.
Oh, I thought it did. Oh, okay.
High horsepower is typically what you would hit it with.
Oh, it gets high horsepower, yeah. But even then, like steel types are so physically defensive sometimes that it's honestly it can maybe do like a 30-40% depending. I mean, it can obviously do a lot to some other type Pokemon, but since steel types are just the traditional defensive ones, it's not gonna do much to them anyway. But again, the team's insane. It's got hazard setting with the Heatran, the Drapion, the Donphan, and it's got enough speed, I think, where it's not too much of an issue, because it's got a lot of priority in the Grassy Glides, the Comfey, and then Jolteon's also quite a good Pokemon to have as your fastest mon.
Yeah, and then you also do have like Aisha with Donphan, and we haven't even really talked about the nuke that can be Megazard Y sometimes.
Yeah, I think getting Megazard Y is honestly going to be very good for this team, because the Heatran hits fairly hard already.
Yeah.
So if you put a Heatran in the sun, and let's say it gets a Flash Fire boost.
Okay, wait. Don't go there.
It can happen.
But yeah, like I can imagine like a Choice Specs or even Choice Scarf, but Choice Specs eruption in the sun.
And bear in mind as well that if you set up the sun, other teams might be trying to, use it to their advantage by, dropping flamethrowers.
Yeah.
And if you get one read with the Heatran in the sun, then that's going to be a problem. Especially if it's Choice Scarfed or Spec. So yeah, I think this team's probably got the best synergy out of any of the teams.
I would even give them props because they actually picked up a really interesting one-pointer as well. Like Porygon is, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible either.
I mean, yeah, it does. It's just a bit worse than Porygon 2, which is a decent one anyway.
Yeah, like Porygon 2 is like really good, and then Porygon is like, alright.
Yeah,
it's alright.
I mean, it's got you can EV light it, and it has a decent amount of bulk, and then it still gets the annoying toxic and recovering stuff it can usually do.
Yeah, and teleport for like a slow pivot.
Yeah, I think this team's probably the best built together, but I think it's just lacking something. I mean, honestly, looking at now with the Zard Y and the Heatran and all that linking together, I could probably push it higher, but again, it's all so close. But this
also,
team
it does also scream a little bit what it's gonna do, kind of.
You know it's gonna bring the Zard Y, the Heatran, the Rillaboom. Honestly, it's gonna be the first 4 picks, the Zard Y, and then
filler.
A 6-pon.
Yeah.
6 month. Probably the Comfey, most likely, because Comfey is very good.
And then like Drapion in the one matchup where T-Specs can be good or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a bit predictable, but if it's good enough, then I don't think it can be too much of an issue. Anyway.
But next up we have... okay, is this supposed to be 187 Drampavane?
I'm guessing so.
Yeah, 187 Drampavane, which is placed 14th. And they picked up a Landorus Eye as like pick, 11 or something like that?
I think it's pick 10, but yeah, I don't know how that stuck around for so long, but I think a lot of people pick some weird mons first, so it's kind of stuck around. I mean, I wanted this mon and I got pick 8, so and I didn't get it, so. But I think, so again, this team being this low is another weird one, but I think it's too top heavy. That's my main issue.
Yeah, like you're saying good mons are really good, but the mediocre mons are kind of bad. Like,
Crabominable, in my opinion, is a horrendous Pokemon.
Yeah, it's...
I genuinely can't see it being used. Like, I can see it being brought, but I can't see it doing all that much work. Prove me wrong. But, I mean, Clefairy's decent for 5 points. I think Gorgeist as your main grass type is a bit Regirock's alright. Like, they're very mediocre.
I'm a big fan of Drampa, but I actually kind of don't see what it's doing on this team, because...
Well, there's a Zardex, so I don't know what the point is.
So it's like you drafted Drampa for the normal typing, I guess?
I think for the meme, because their team mascot's a Drampa, so it might be for
that might be it. I like Drampa. It's fine.
It's a decent dragon type, but yeah, again, it doesn't serve much purpose on this team.
Yeah.
But again, we're not talking about the Landorus Eye, the Zeraora. They got Celesteela around 8 or something.
Yeah. If you want to hit that Celesteela with like an electric move, you definitely have to watch out.
Well, yeah, because they've got a Landorus, a Zeraora, and a Zardex that can all come in for free.
Yeah, and Zardex also covers that fire type, like...
My issue with this team is that it's going to be, like the last team, very predictable. But I don't think it has enough bulk to make it enough of a threat. was the first 4 picks are mainly just going to be offensive. I guess Glow King can sometimes run a weird like future sight slack offset, but
yeah,
all the bulk is aren't great mons, so
yeah.
I can definitely see this team getting overwhelmed by other people.
I guess the team is a little bit knockoff weak to some extent as well. Like, you don't really have a mon that appreciates, but can like live with getting knocked off, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of these all these Pokemon seem to benefit a lot off of items, and their Dark type resist is a Clefairy which needs Eviolite.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like I just think I can get drafting top heavy, but I think this one's just a bit too much.
Yeah, I think so. Next up, we have the Super Shell Smash Bros. Second, and they got Mega Mawile at this point. And even though I personally don't really like Mega Mawile that much, I know it's an insanely good mon. And pairing it up with Zapdos is amazing.
Yeah, so this team is, I think, an example of where you don't need too much speed. Because I think this team in a trick room is going to be devastating. Because there's a Porygon 2 setting up a trick room. If you teleport into the Mega Mawile, that's at least 2 turns. That's enough for a Mega Mawile to either start setting up Swords Dances or just start punching holes.
Yeah.
And that it has enough coverage to deal with a lot of different walls. And the team has so much bulk behind it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those teams where you look at the team and you're like, okay, so I have to prepare for this mon, but I also have to prepare for this, and then this, and then this, and it goes on and on and on. Because like the entire team, even Illumise has some use with like pranks and stuff and whatnot. So it's a very difficult team to figure out what exactly the opponent's gonna do. Yeah,
I think it's one of those teams where most of the team mons have purpose, and it has a lot of good wall breakers that you can pivot into very easily because the team has so much pivot. Like almost all the Pokemon, your main hitters are going to be the Mawile, the Latios, and the Superior, and all those, and then you can bring that in with the Zapdos, the Greninja, the Swampert, the Porygon, the Rotom.
So Magmortar actually gets teleport as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to waste a spot.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but no, I get what you mean. But yeah, this team has enough pivot to get the big hitters in without a problem. And Hariyama for 6 points is pretty good. I've seen that Pokemon actually be quite a bit of a problem.
When you mentioned Trick Room, I was like looking and I was like, yeah, Mawile is a good abuser. And then I was like, wait, Hariyama is actually not bad. If you have like a max attack guts in Trick Room.
The problem with Hariyama is after attack, its stats are horrible. Because it's all just in its HP and attack.
Yeah, but I mean, that can still sometimes be enough,
Yeah, but that's all you need, really, because in a trick room, you just start close combating. Yeah. It gets Bullet Punch for some fairy types. And again, I think Superior is going to be a great pick for this team, because that way you have a big special attacker along with the Latios. And for physical attack, you really only need the Mawile. It's enough of a threat on its own.
You say that, and then the Mawile gets Flame Body burned once, and.
Well, yeah, that's also a problem. But is there? I don't think. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue with the team. There's no heal bell user. I
think Superior gets aromatherapy.
I should know this. I have it.
I want to say it does.
I mean, it makes sense for it.
It does.
Yeah. If you read it, you can bring some bulky utility Superior. But yeah, I think the team's honestly just built very well together. There's a lot of good synergy. And I think the bulky offense and mixed with the fast offensive threats of stuff like Greninja, Superior, and the Latios is honestly enough to just. I think it's very versatile in that aspect.
And I know it firsthand because I played this team week 1.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. And speaking of playing. Next up is my own team, the Copenhagen Galates. I'll let you take the handle for now, and then I'll chime in a little bit.
Yeah. Alright, so this team caught my eye a bit because of the first 3 months. Because Tornadus this late is insane.
You see, I had the choice between Tornadus and Mew.
Mm.
And the reason I went with Tornadus was because I had already thought I wanted Victini. So.
So Tornadus, I'm a big fan of. Mega Lopunny's an insane Pokemon. It's incredible for wall breaking. Like, you can actually win games just with Mega Lopunny if you whittle down the other Pokemon enough.
Yeah.
And then you just bring it in at the end once the Scarfer's dead and the Pokemon have been weakened. You can honestly just win games with Return Close Combat.
Yeah, because I am allowed to use Return in this league.
Yeah, it gets Return. It doesn't have to rely on High Jump Kick anymore.
Yeah.
And then Victini again is another insane wall breaker. Banded V-Great can honestly OHKO an insane amount of teams.
And even then, like, unless your water type is like really physically bulky, it does a chunk as well.
The only thing that I know for a fact lives it is Mega Venusaur, because I wanted to use it against a team that had Mega Venusaur and Ferrothorn, and Mega Venusaur lived it anyway.
And that's when you then bring Choice Bandits and Headbutt.
Exactly. Or Tornadus. So, I think the main issue of this team, you mentioned it to me yesterday, is just the removal.
Yeah, the removal is kind of atrocious.
Yeah, and the problem is there's a lot of Pokemon which don't appreciate hazards. Like the Victini, the Tornadus, the Vikavolt, which I know you can slap some heavy duty boots on, but I don't know if it's enough.
But yeah, as you mentioned, like Victini, it's not really gonna run boots that often.
You don't want boots Victini ever.
Like the extra power you can just get is so much better.
Even if you run bulky Victini, you'd rather run leftovers. And then I think the cores on this team are really good. I think there could have maybe been a better fairy type drafted.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Lurantis is an interesting pick. It does get defog, but it's not the best grass type, but you've used it.
I mean,
you used it well week 2, I think you said.
Just look at week 2.
But yeah, on average, it will come every now and then, but I don't know how much usage you could get out of it. I think honestly, if the team had a dedicated defogger that wasn't Tornadus, it could honestly go up a bit. Piloswine's pretty good for 7 points. There's a lot of bulk in the Vaporeon, the Piloswine, the Muck, and you get webs as well. But I don't think this team benefits as much from webs as other teams, because your team's already stupid fast. So it's still nice to have though for stuff like the Vikavolt or the Muck.
But also in general, Vikavolt is just a
you're going to set it
like it's a good electric. Now, also it's a good electric type.
Yeah, I like
the webs are just a
it's
bonus, I would say.
But yeah, I think that it's just made the defogging issue. It's definitely not a bad team by any aspect. You've got some good. I think you could have maybe got another good rock setter as well, because there's only 2.
Yeah.
And I think Lycanrock's probably going to be the one you bring more.
There's 3. Bronzong, Lycanrock, Piloswine.
Bronzong. Oh, well, Bronzong's pretty good for rocks as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite like this team. It's definitely, I think this is the team I'd most likely use. But I think, the removal's honestly just a massive issue.
Yeah, I've been looking, but people pick the removers, and then all of a sudden you don't have anyone left.
Yeah, that's the problem. But it's definitely not an unusable team.
I definitely also personally like it. I like that my first 5 picks all had pivot, and I was like, should I just continue with this?
Yeah, that's the pivot on this team's very good. I think you only need like 5 or 6 good pivots. That's enough, because you only want to bring around like 3 a game. You only need roughly.
Yeah.
And having the choice of 5 is quite good.
But next up, we have the Philadelphia Phantoms with a team. I'll say it. So I'm not really a big fan of Trick Room, but I feel like this team pulls it off so nicely. This team just with Trick Room.
It has Trick Room, but the problem is you also have a Spectra.
I mean,
sitting there.
That gives you like 2 different options, you know.
It's honestly it's the complete opposite. I meant it in the way that you don't have to run Trick Room at all. Because if you just whittle down the teams enough where the normal type's gone and the dark type's gone, you bring in a Spectra, get one kill with it, and it can honestly just start running riot.
Yeah, and what better mon to kill normal/dark types than a mother goddamn Terrakion?
There's Terrakion. There's also Melmetal, which is killing anything that doesn't resist it with double Iron Bash.
Yeah, double Iron Bash is such a stupid move.
And I think this team has a perfect amount of enough physical and special hitters. Because it's mainly just focused on bulk.
Yeah,
because the bulk's very strong.
It's very bulky. There's not a lot of mon you're one-shotting on this team.
Yeah, the only thing that's really getting one-shot is a Spectra.
Yeah, but then that means you have to be able to outspeed it.
Well, yeah, you have to read it, and no one's just going to hard swap a Spectra.
Yeah.
I think this team's top-heavy, but it pulls it off a lot better than the other top-heavy team.
Yeah. And then I know the Bronzor, I'm pretty sure, got drafted just to have another Trick Room setup.
And yeah, it's not bad for an EVLI user at all. I used it in a Little Cup side league, and it was honestly not bad at all.
Yeah. I guess Trappist, I would imagine, gets spikes the same way Gabota does.
It gets the same moves as Gabota. And one thing I want to bring up is the Smeagol actually gets sticky webs.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, sticky webs on this team are terrifying.
Yeah, because that makes Melmetal able to outspeed some base.
And Terrakion's outspeeding most Pokemon in sticky webs. And Terrakion hits insanely hard.
Terrakion is such a scary mon.
So I think the Mega Camerupt was an interesting pick, but again with Trick Room, this team is
because that gives you both the physical option with Melmetal, but also the special option in the Trick Room.
Oh, yeah, I think this team's synergy is insane. I think there's really it's just if you don't bring Trick Room, I think the team could be a bit difficult to use.
I mean, we haven't even talked about how he might have the best fairy in the format.
He's got Clefable is, in my opinion, probably the most worrying fairy type. Yeah. Because it can honestly do anything.
Yeah, because you're okay, is he gonna bring support? Is he gonna bring bulky or setup? What is he gonna do? There's so much.
It's honestly just a Mew but fairy type, and obviously gets a lot less moves. But it has the same aspect of just what is the purpose of that Clefable?
Exactly. Yeah. And next up, we have the Salt Lake Citra with a beautiful 9th place, and they picked up a Mew at pick 13.
Yeah, I don't know how so many of these Pokemon just stuck around. All the 18 points in the home division just went immediately. But honestly, the first 4 picks of this team work so well together.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of it is where it starts going a little bit downhill. Don't get me wrong, there's some good Pokemon, but I think compared to how it started, it could have definitely gotten some better picks. Yeah. I think Mew is a phenomenal first round pick because again, Mew's the same as Clefable. You don't know, you kind of have to think what is the Mew going to do.
Yeah, you kind of just have to hope you can deal with it.
It honestly just got a massive buff in Gen 8 because of TRs. So now it can it gets so many it gets Flare Blitz and Brave Bird and Dragon Dance now. So it's just got more moves pretty much. Which is not what Mew needed. And then honestly, the thing I like about this team is there's some good pivot into, in my opinion, one of the best setup Pokemon, Komodo.
Yeah, and I believe it is allowed Clangorous Soul, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I used Clangorous Soul week 2 and it won me a game. So
it has both Clangorous Soul, Dragon Dance, Totemize, Swords Dance, and Belly Drum.
And Bulk Up, and Rock Polish, and Iron Defense.
Please, someone just throw Coal Mine on it already, please.
It honestly is, in my opinion, one of the best setup Pokemon. Because Clangorous Soul can honestly just win you a game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. If you can be 4-1 down, if you get a Clangorous Soul with a Komodo on stuff that's at 50%, and there's no Scarfers, then you can pretty much just win the game.
I mean, even if there is a Scarfer, the Scarfer has to hit insanely hard because you get the defense boost as well. Exactly,
you get a defense boost, and it also has to be able to one-shot it.
Yeah.
It has to be a fairy type, pretty much. That's the
pretty much. And
fairy
types are not. Fairy types are generally not that fast, actually. That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
Bombi and.
I mean, the good thing about them is that they can probably live a hit from a Komodo if they're full, because a lot of them are insanely bulky. But that's about it. But then there's the Mega Aggron and the Sylveon to take those hits. The team really revolves around the Komodo, which I like. Because I think if you can help your team, if you build your team around a Pokemon like Kamo that just needs a bit of setup, it can honestly cause so many issues. Because this Kamo can be healed and protected with the Mew, the Sylveon. There's webs for it as well, so it can go first.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I know you talked about the first 4, but I actually think Moltres' synergy with Aggron specifically is also pretty good. Like, if you go for a fighting move on the Aggron, it's physical, and Moltres comes in, you risk getting burned.
Yeah, it's very, I think, the Moltres definitely works here. But I think the Inteleon pick's not bad, but bulky waters are so good.
Yeah.
But having Inteleon as your water type's a bit of a weird one. Because it's very frail.
And I mean, I've never used it, but I don't really know what the Toucannon is doing there, if I'm honest.
It's honestly just a bad Staraptor, which isn't a great Pokemon anymore, but it on the right situation, it could maybe be helpful. Yeah. It's got good hazard setting with the Mew, the Komodo, the Aggron, the Mudsdale, Galvantula,
Dragalge, Jesus.
And Dragalge's a pretty good special wall breaker as well. On its own. Adaptability, choice specs, Draco Meteor can OHKO a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's you can't just swap your fairy in like it's nothing, because if it clicks Sludge Wave instead, you're taking damage.
And yeah, I think this team, having 2 dragons which are so different, is honestly not a bad thing. Because if you don't want to run your Kamo because, let's say, the Clefable on the last team, well, you can just bring a Dragalge instead, and just. So also, I think this team definitely works.
I blame this team for why I don't have a dragon. It took 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy. I think Kamo's one of my most wanted Pokemon to use. So
yeah, I've used it once, and I got it as a kill leader in the league. So
it's really fun.
It's so fun to use.
This team is so versatile. That's what I really like about.
But moving on, we have subscribed to Parksy. Very interesting name, I must say.
So this team's a bit of a strange one. It built the team around the electric terrain, which isn't unheard of, but I don't see it too much.
Yeah, I think you have a Halucha that can benefit, a Alolan Raichu.
I think the main thing about this team is a really strong ground type is honestly going to do a lot of work.
Like any ground type that potentially can like U-turn maybe is gonna hurt, because if Celebi comes in and it U-turns out, Celebi's taking a chunk.
And Noctowl isn't going to come very often at all, even. Wooper is, again, this team suffers the same as the last team, where the bulky water type, it has one, it's just not very good. And Keldeo all right, but it's a bit predictable. Again, it doesn't get hidden power. So, but I think
don't ever try and dream that you can outspeed this team.
Yeah, no, this team's speed is up there. I mean, there's a Tapu Koko.
Not even thinking terrain. You have Mega Beedrill at 145.
And then the Alolan Raichu gets double speed.
Yeah.
Imagine an Alolan. So, I think you can use Terrain Extender. If you want to just get in your Alolan Raichu, get a nasty plot up and then outspeed most of the team, you can just do that.
Alolan Raichu does have access to Rising Voltage, I believe. So if you don't have a good ground type to be immune with that, you're in for hurt.
You need to Sucker Punch it. That's probably the best answer to just have this Sucker Punch. The Aegislash is a great one as well. Landorus Darien is a very good. It's such a versatile Pokemon. Honestly, the first 2 Pokemon are so versatile, it makes up for the rest of it. Because the rest of them, you kind of know what they do.
Yeah. I would say Celebi can also be a little bit versatile.
Celebi, I think, so I have Celebi in another league, and I find it difficult to bring in to teams. But it can honestly be quite helpful in certain teams. And it can be Scarfed or some choiced item, but you really want the Rocks and the Leech Seed and the annoying pivoting.
And then, like, you have that one matchup where you can run, like, Nasty Plot, because it's very good there.
But yeah, it can do some things as well. The Alolan Golem's an interesting pick. I think it just kind of cripples a ground-type weakness even more.
Yeah, because, like, you already have the electric typing in both Raichu and Koko, so...
I mean, it's a rock type, I guess, but...
Yeah, but for 4 points, I would bet you could get a different rock type.
I think Armaldo is either 4 points or less.
Yeah, it should at least should be.
And Armaldo is incredible. So.
And they would also give like a spinner, not because this team really likes in hazard removal.
Yeah, it's got Coco, Landorus,
Lucha, if you really want.
So I think it could honestly do with another remover that isn't one of the first two, because you don't really want to run defog on either of the first two.
Yeah, so maybe Armaldo wouldn't be a back pick.
I don't know. I don't know how much it is, but I have in another league and it's honestly very good. But yeah, I think the last two picks were honest. I think this team you kind of have to prepare it like it has 9 months instead of 11.
Yeah,
I don't see the last two coming, like at all, really. So,
but the other hand, you could say the first like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like the first 8 out of 9 can pretty much all come. I would then say.
Yeah, I'd say the Golem's the only one I couldn't see coming very often.
It's like 8 out of the first 9.
Yeah, so it definitely makes up for it, but it's not a bad team, but it's definitely. I think it could do some sort of changing.
Yeah, but next up and the last team today, the Feasting Seals.
So, honestly, Mega Diancie getting to last pick is an interesting one.
Yeah, and coupling with one of the mons that are the best Mega Diancie revenge killers, Scissor, is really nice.
Yeah, so these first two picks are great together, and then it also just has a free choice Scarfer.
Domanitan. You could bring it for all the games, bring Choice Scarf every time, and it's still gonna do decent.
And you can also bring Zen mode, which funnily enough, the same coach 6-0'd me with the Zen mode Domanitan.
Like regular Domanitan Zen mode?
Well, no, this was Galarian, but
yeah, because there's a big difference. Regular becomes a special attacker. And really slow. Like, it doesn't get speed, it loses.
Oh, well, it's kind of weird. But I think you can still use it to kind of mix things up if you really wanted to.
Yeah, maybe.
But it gets webs as well. This team's going to be very difficult to set hazards up on, because there's a magic bouncing Diancie, so you have to be careful if you want to web it. As well as there's a Scizor and a Staraptor to both clear hazards if you really want to, even though neither of them are the best defoggers.
Yeah, like Scissor is a good defogger, but it's kind of the same issue we had with Mega Scissor earlier, that you want to run like U-turn, Sword Stance, Bullet Punch, maybe knock off or something like that. So fitting defog on can be kind of difficult.
Honestly, I think defog's very good on Mega Sizzle because it gets so much bulk. But on this one, it's not as good, really. But it has the Regieleki as well, which can be kind of annoying to deal with sometimes, because it's so fast.
You know the opponent's going to bring ground type, no matter what.
Well, yeah, that helps you out, because then you can just bring your Sharpedo.
Or your Breloom, even. Like, Breloom is
and that's the thing about this team. This team's setup potential is crazy. There's a Breloom, there's a Sizzle, there's a Zygarde, there's a Sharpedo. So I think this team covers a lot of the bases you need. You know, it has... I mean, Diancie gets Wish Passing, and... No, it only gets Heal Bell,
yeah,
sorry.
Only Heal Bell doesn't get Wish. Man, yeah. If it got a Wish, oh god.
Well, I drafted it and then dropped in Grace because I thought it got Wish, but it didn't.
Yeah, no, it gets Heal Bell.
Yeah, but see, it does get a Heal Bell user if you really want to. It has some defoggers. One thing I want to mention is it doesn't have a grounded poison type.
No, Weezing can be grounded because it also has neutralizing gas.
But I think Levitate's honestly just the better option.
I mean, yeah, but if you're in a matchup where you really think your opponent is gonna run Toxic Specs, you could do it. Plus, neutralizing gas is a really good ability as well.
It's a good ability, but I think Levitate is just what makes Weezing 7 points. Because you just need to bring a Psychic type for it. But it's quite a good last pick, honestly.
Yeah, it's not bad.
This is one of the teams that also just every Pokemon has a purpose.
Exactly, and like the lowest point mon is a 6-pointer, which is like pretty high, and it's a Frostlass and Frostlass has definitely merit.
Right, Destiny Bond. It can be annoying, but yeah, I think this is honestly quite a solid team. Yeah. Again, the problem in this division, since since it's the highest skilled division, everyone everyone's drafted a usable team. There's not a bad team.
Yeah. Like even if you place your 16th, you could have been like a top 5 contender in some other leagues. So.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's all the coaches we have.
Exactly.
But
so
anyway.
Overall, good luck to everyone out there. There's a lot of really strong teams, and it's gotta be interesting to see who can come out on top, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that's all we need. Thanks to everyone for watching. Obviously, subscribe to the NPBA. I'll leave a link to Gentleman Thomas's channel. Go check it out. He's uploading his matches from the Kanto division.
Yep.
But anyway, thanks for watching. Again, the PRs are finally out, so everyone can be happy about that.
And if you have any complaints, go to Jody.
Yeah, ask Jody. He'll answer your questions.
Yeah. I guess we're out. Peace.
Yeah, bye.